community. And these are things that some of it may be new to you, and some things you may have heard before. But he has some information he's going to share, and I believe it's going to be advantageous to everyone that takes part. So as Mr. Robinson comes forward and gives an introduction to his products and services, we're also going to have probably a very lengthy time that where you can call 843-230-1918 for your questions, and or you can put your questions in the chat. So if you have any questions, you can call 843-230-1918 when we open up the question and answer discussion, or you can put your questions in the chat. So I want to say good evening, Brother Robinson.
Good evening, sir.
Good, glad to have you.
Yes, sir.
I've been knowing this young man here for quite some time. I want to say almost 10 years, almost 10 years, and ever since then, I remember when he first started out in this field, and he has been a blessing to me and my family, and just as of recently, he's I'm going to turn it over to him, and he's
here, and I think it's wonderful whenever a church decides bad news usually spreads, right?
Yeah.
Faster than good news. And so I don't know what it is. When people find out that bad news, it gets around. But good news is a little slow to get around. So things like this help with that. But like you said, my name is Philip Robinson. So personally, who I am, I'm originally from Darlington, South Carolina. I live in Florence, South Carolina. My wife and 5 children, 20, 16,
Wow.
8, 4, and 2. I'm a professional father and family guy. Those things are most important to me personally. I've always said if I pass away, all I ever did was raise godly children.
Wow.
That's a life well lived. So I'm a big fan of family, things of that nature. And professionally, 2005. I've been doing it since about 2005. And so I've been in the industry and around the industry a very long time. I've been on all different sides and aspects of the insurance business. And I think that's helped me learn a lot. And then I'm a teacher at heart. And so when I learn, and I love learning, sharing it is just a passion of mine. And so when it gets to products and services, I always like to start by telling people that there are only 2 types of life insurance that exist on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it can get confusing because they can call it different things, but they all fall into 2 categories. Either going to be term insurance,
Right.
or it's going to be whole life insurance. And so I'll just say too, if anybody is listening here or on the live stream, good place to take a couple of notes too. Of course, your term insurance, I always like to tell people that's going to be for the 20 to 45, maybe 50 crowd.
Yeah.
And I always get a lot of questions about that. Hopefully we'll get a lot tonight. Because this is the thing, and there's an age-old debate in the insurance industry. Which one's better? Is it better that I get whole life? Is it better that I get term insurance?
Almost sounds like a gamble.
Almost sounds like a gamble.
Yeah.
And so I always tell people that great debate, number one, in my opinion, in my professional opinion, it won't ever be solved. The reason it's been going on so long is because which one is best depends on completely the person's situation.
Right.
That's very important to understand. There's no cookie cutter, there's no one size fits all in the life insurance business. So I always tell people, as an agent, and if you're meeting with an agent, and I'll say this, I'm sorry, I am a broker, so I do need to distinguish this. Brokers they're a little different than agents. Agents just usually work for one company, and there's products and services for that company, usually the extent of their abilities and offerings. maintenance services, things of that nature.
So as a broker, are you able to not only be limited to one particular company for life insurance, you're able to search out?
Very good, very good, exactly. So with that's exactly right. We're able to search out. Why is that good? Well, every company has different qualification standards for what they think is acceptable, risky, or not in terms of approving you.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Right.
So you may get disapproved for one company for what you want, but that doesn't mean there are not 10 other companies that you might be a good fit for. And if you meet with a broker, it's always good because you can get to kind of search around a little bit.
And we have a broker here.
Yeah, that's exciting. So I did have to switch it to that lane, and that's been a big difference for me. So now, young, old, sick, healthy, does not matter.
Right.
There is a life insurance program for you.
Okay,
We
wow.
can get it. You know, we can get it. I always tell people, you can't get life insurance with me, you can't get life insurance. You know, and people like me, because there's a lot of good folks out there that
Hello.
yeah.
I got this.
Good. So term insurance, just like it sounds, you think of a presidential term. They do a certain amount of time, and then they got to run again to try to get another term. That's how term works. It's for a period of time.
Yeah.
Usually it's 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years, depending on your age and health. After that period of time is up, you have to renew it, at which time your price will either go up or your face amount will go down. All right, and some people say, well, I don't know how I feel about that. Well, this is the other side of it. Term insurance is a little harder to qualify, but that's the type of insurance where you're going to get the higher face amount, the 100,000, the 500,000, the millions, and it's going to be cheaper, dollar for dollar,
Right.
you know, than if you were trying to get that whole life. So that's what that's designed for. It's designed for that younger generation, working, married, kids, high debt. If something happened to you, you need a significant amount to make sure things.
Right.
So that's how term works. Whole life is a little different, just like it sounds, it lasts your whole life. So that renewal time we talked about, you don't necessarily have to do that for whole life. It's usually for the 50 to 85 crowd, because you don't have to be as healthy to get a whole life program. However, the face amounts usually are not going to be any more than 40,000. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. Some people say, well, I don't like the fact that I need to renew, so I'm just going to go ahead with a whole life program and settle for a less face amount, you know. But I know that I'm going to have that and not have to renew it. But some people, you know, like term as well. And so that's what I would say is the foundational to understanding what life insurance is about. But essentially, other than that, when I run into somebody that don't have life insurance, it's usually one of three reasons why. They either did not think it was important, thought it was too expensive, or never got around to it. And so if you're listening on the chat, or if you're in here, that's usually the reasons why people don't have life insurance. Now, if you have life insurance, I think it's always good to talk to a broker anyway, because not only the different companies have different qualification standards, but they have different prices. Sometimes you're paying $80 for your life insurance policy, and the same policy is $40 in another company.
Wow.
You just don't know. Because you work with an agent and they just didn't have
Yeah,
that
shop it around.
right.
Yeah.
So we have a software that we can put your birthday and a little bit about your health, click a button, and it'll bring up Aflac, Forrester, CVS Health, and Liberty Bankers, Royal Neighbors. It brings up all of the top companies, Mutual Omaha, and it lets you know the price and ranks them from least expensive to most. So
With
you
that
always
coverage
make sure.
amount that you want.
Right. So you always know you're getting the best price. So I tell people, even if you got life insurance, let's take a look and make sure that you got a program that fits your budget. Does. Okay. So I'll pause there, because really all I really deal with more than outside of that is just kind of why we life insurance. I know that's a big one.
Okay.
But anything there, that's kind of.
Well, let me ask this question. I can't remember the term, and you and I talked about this before. Let's say if I have a life insurance policy, let's say if it's $50,000, and let's say if, God forbid, if I go to the doctor and they tell me I'm diagnosed with cancer, and am I able to draw from that life insurance policy and still keep that face value amount? What is that called again? I can't
so I think you refer to living benefits.
The living benefit.
Right. And so life insurance, so what happened is a long time ago, people buy life insurance, and it's just like car insurance. You got car insurance, you're paying for car insurance, you don't get in an accident, you just pay the car insurance for a whole year. You know, good job, good for y'all. But what did that benefit mean? And people were starting to say that with life insurance and saying, well, you know what? I'm paying for life insurance my whole life. I put a lot of money into it, but I mean, my family, they'll be protected, and I'm grateful for that. But I personally didn't get anything out of it. Right. So they started to create slowly things like living benefits, things that you, as the insured person, can get out of the policy while you're living. And that's a very valuable thing. So essentially what you're saying, it's called critical chronic or terminal illness. If you have any of those illnesses come up throughout the life of your policy, you can get 75, 85, some companies up to 100% of access to the face amount of your policy while you're living, to help with the medical expenses and to help with things like that.
Does it affect the face amount, let's say, once your demise? Does it?
Yes. So the direct answer to that is yes. Anytime you borrow from a life insurance policy, it's going to affect the face amount.
Okay.
Whether it's the cash value accumulated inside that you borrow from, or whether it's living benefits, it's going to decrease the face amount. So to give an example, you gave a $50,000 policy. You know, if you have something come up and you need to get 20,000 of that, you know, then it's 30.
Okay.
Left if you pass away. Right.
Okay.
Good question.
Okay.
So it's called living benefits.
Now let me ask this. Now, I've heard, and I know back in the days when you had the agents coming knocking on your doors. Some of you might have heard me say this morning. When they were selling my grandparents' insurance policies, they would get policies like $2,000 and $3,000, right?
Yeah.
And like even right now, we have a policy that's probably not, it's paid in full, but it's not worth anything because the company is not around anymore.
Yes,
so what I'm getting at is this: with insurance policies now, can we look at it as an investment also? Now, this is just me. This is my way of thinking.
Yeah.
Now, okay, if I have my affairs in order, then I'm making sure my wife and my children are okay. Now, if I have nieces and nephews that are working and they're stable, I may not have money to give them because they may not be in a will, but they can get a policy on me. And that's an investment that I can give them. But I believe what the problem is when we think about life insurance, our concept is having something to bury someone with. And the other side to that, a lot of you know that I'm a pastor. Now I'm going to drop this on you, and I'm asking a question on this too. As a pastor, can my church open up a life insurance policy on me with a negotiation of the beneficiary?
With who being the beneficiary? The church being the beneficiary?
Partially the church and on my wife.
Right. So, you said a lot just now.
Yeah.
And to answer your question directly,
Partially the church and on my wife.
Okay. You can, yes.
And I'll tell you later why I mentioned it.
It's interesting because it's a problem.
We never think about it.
It's a problem, and I'm gonna tell you why. We talk about it, all right?
Yeah. Okay.
In the African American community,
Yeah.
traditionally, this ain't all across the board. Traditionally, when someone dies,
Yeah.
we're leaving bills instead of wills.
Yeah.
Typically, that's what happens in our communities, and I think it has a lot to do with the way we think about life insurance. So here's a couple of terms we need to know: immediate estate and insurable interest. We need to know about those. Life insurance is an immediate estate. It's the most amazing opportunity. It's the most amazing tool or resource for generational transfer of wealth. Life insurance.
Right.
It's an immediate state.
Immediate estate.
Meaning there's an immediate state established whenever someone passes away. Now, to your example of nieces and nephews putting life insurance on you, I think that's great. I've had families call me over and the mom be sitting in there and she said, listen, I got all my kids here. Y'all need to get something on me, because they're okay with that. And then I've had some people say, well, no, y'all thinking y'all trying to make me out, y'all trying to, kill me, whatever. No, y'all, it just depends on the mindset. But I do affirm the mindset that says, you know what? We all are going to leave at some point.
Absolutely.
And I don't mind you guys setting this up. Now, insurable interest does have to exist. So that's the other term I like to make sure people know. Insurable interest has to exist. There needs to be some sort of a relationship established from a life insurance standpoint that would warrant you insuring that person. So if insurable interest exists and the person doesn't mind, every family needs to do that.
Yeah.
In reference to the church, to your last point, there's life insurance and then there's death insurance. A lot of times
I never heard
we treat it like burial insurance. Burial insurance is for that. It's for burial. And you won't find it marketed as that, but again, it has to do with mindset. And I would love to see the African American community and the community at large just transition to thinking of insurance as life insurance.
Yeah.
And when you think of it as death insurance, I think we wouldn't call it that, but we use it that way. In other words, we use it just to fund death.
Yeah.
Problem with that is there's nothing left over.
Yeah. Absolutely. We put it.
And we just bury it.
Yeah. We put it in the ground.
Right. And typically, I don't know how far you want me to go with this.
I mean, go ahead. Because I'm putting this out there because these are probably some questions that people want to ask.
It's because you just have to know. You have to have the right mindset of how you want to use it.
Right.
Because see, when I walk into a company, okay, when I have a loved one pass away, we got to understand. If my spouse passes away, that translates as death to me.
Yeah.
That does not translate as death to the funeral home.
Right. Money. Yeah.
Okay. Funeral homes are not mean people. They're not evil people, but they're business
That's a
people.
business. Yeah.
Okay, and that ain't mean or evil, but it puts the burden on the community to have the knowledge to understand in those moments.
Right.
Because we know when we are emotional, we are not as rational.
That's right.
It's very important that you understand your business and stuff like that, because that translates to the